Let's get into it. Tom Brady isn't the only future Hall of Fame quarterback associated with our new president. Two-time Super Bowl champion Peyton Manning, might have heard of him, is slated to attend and speak at the Joint Senate House GOP retreat in Philadelphia, according to Politico. President Trump and Vice President Mike Pence are also scheduled to speak at the retreat, which runs next Wednesday through Friday. Max, here's the question for you. Why does Brady catch more heat than Manning with his political affiliations?
Well, number one, Tom Brady was caught with the hat in his locker supporting Donald Trump specifically, as opposed to Peyton Manning, who supports Republicans generally. There's a presumption on the left, I think, that there are, those on the right who represent the loyal opposition. In other words, everyone's in it together, they have different points of view, etc. And Donald Trump is viewed, for good reason, very, very differently. Two, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. Tom Brady's on top now. He's still on top. He's going to another Super Bowl. He's still setting statistical records, and Peyton Manning is retired. And before he retired, though he did win a Super Bowl, he was not the same guy. And so people aren't going to hate on him quite to the extent that they hate on Peyton Manning. Excuse me, on Tom Brady. They're going to hate on Tom Brady more than Peyton Manning because at the moment, he is enjoying more success. And for those two reasons especially, I would say that Tom Brady is catching more flack than Peyton. Donald Trump specifically, and the fact that Tom Brady is still on top.
Max Kellerman, I'm really getting concerned about you. I mean, you got beautiful kids, you got a beautiful wife, you got a beautiful life, beautiful family. You lived in Southern California. I mean, I understand having to be in Bristol all the time when you used to be in California, how that could mess with somebody's life.
Very happy
Look at what it's done to Mollywood. I mean, we understand, even though her family's right here in Connecticut. My point to you is this, Max Kellerman. What's the matter with you? Why don't you lighten up? Relax, calm down, smile a little bit, Max. It's not that serious. Peyton Manning doesn't get nearly as much heat as Tom Brady because Peyton Manning is significantly more liked than Tom Brady. Because in case you haven't noticed, this dude is hilarious. I mean, have you ever seen Peyton Manning on Saturday Night Live? Do you watch him in some of these commercials? Peyton Manning is hysterical. He's more personable, even though he's just as private and guards his privacy just as stridently as Tom Brady. The difference is he's far more relaxed. If it wasn't for a scene in Ted, for crying out loud,
with
our very own Mark Wahlberg, which was a good scene. I mean, listen, let me tell you, if it wasn't for that, you wouldn't know Tom Brady had a personality because you just don't get that from him. Now, don't get me wrong. He's got the life. I mean, I still can't get over watching Giselle walk that runway, or walk the opening ceremony in Brazil. I mean, it was spectacular. I understood right there why that man is so happy. So you got that going on. He's a champion. He's got a supermodel wife, beautiful family, and the whole bit. But he holds things close to the vest like Peyton Manning does. But Peyton Manning just comes across as significantly more personable, funnier. He makes you laugh a lot and what have you.
He's marketed
and he's always
better.
been class. And he's always been, well, it's not just marketing. His personality naturally appears to be more personable than Tom Brady. That helps.
Because they have good writing in the commercials, Stephen A. Whoever writes the commercials for him does a good job.
I apologize. I've met Peyton Manning on several occasions. I also watched him perform on Saturday Night Live and stuff like that. I just can't imagine Tom Brady being that dude.
Yeah, well, as we just lost
Stephen A. I just want to say also, I've never met Tom Brady, but I have met Peyton Manning, and he is very warm and personable.
Sure, but he's still known for selling you pizza. I mean, that's everyone can relate to
He's
Peyton
not
Manning.
known for selling you pizza.
Yes, he is. He's selling you pizza on TV, and that's easy to relate to. The guy with the supermodel wife and the weird diet and the fur hats and stuff is harder for people to relate to. And a lot of it, just Molly, is hating.
You're taking football out of it, that's why.
Tom Brady, a lot of people are just hating on Tom Brady. The impulse is there to hate on a guy who seems to be in the Super Bowl every year. And with Peyton, you could see clearly this is a result of Peyton Manning's excellence. And with Tom Brady, you also know it's a combination of his own excellence and the fact that he's extremely fortunate to play for Bill Belichick all these years.
Stephen A., we lost you for a second with technical difficulties, but you are back. You want to respond?
Yeah, I'm just saying that, listen, Tom Brady is more accomplished. Tom Brady is spectacular. We get all of that. At the same time, you know, you could bring up the Deflategate, Spygate, the association with Bill Belichick and the Patriots, the fact that a lot of people hate their team, and that was never the case with Peyton Manning being a member of the first family with Archie Manning and the crew. You can go into all of that, but I think what tips the scales is the fact that that Peyton Manning comes across as far more personable and more hilarious than Tom Brady could ever hope to. Peyton Manning is actually a very, very funny dude when he wants to be. He really, really is. And I think that goes a long way.
I think in the case, though, yes, that has something to do with it. But in the case of this issue, because Tom Brady's taken enormous flack for his relationship with the new president, and here Peyton Manning's going on a retreat and the new president's going to be there, and he's not taking the same flack for it. I really do think it's because Tom Brady showed personal, specific relationship with the new president, whereas Peyton Manning is supporting Republicans generally. Okay. New president happens to be
I agree
a
with
Republican.
that. And not only that, he's been contributing to the GOP for many, many years. You know, in terms of funneling funds their way and what have you. He's a Republican and he supports their causes, and he has for years. So it's not about Donald Trump. It is about the GOP.
And I would like, by the way, just as I'd like some answers from Tom Brady. I'd love to know where Peyton Manning stands on a lot of these issues that are now being put forth by the Republican president and the Congress.
I'd love to see a sit down between the two of you.
Maybe very interesting.
Maybe we should make that happen.
Yeah, I didn't know so many football players apparently are pro-Putin.
Nobody sitting down with Max.
Okay,
they ain't sitting down with Max.
I'd like to know.
They ain't sitting down. They're not sitting down with Max. They don't mind answering questions. They don't want to go through an inquisition.
They don't want to get.
They're not sitting down with Max.
I want to say one more thing, though, before we go to break. Tom Brady was friends with Donald Trump for 16 years before he was ever associated with politics. So
and that's been his answer, and that's the one answer.
So let's just give him, like, the benefit of the doubt for that. He hasn't spoken out on issues. All we know is he was friends with him before.
Insofar as Tom Brady has answered, he's given the answer that should satisfy people. I have a personal relationship. I don't necessarily agree with everything he's doing, and I'm not going to discuss what he's doing because that's political and it's separate. Though once you make your affiliation known, like, once it becomes, as a public figure, difficult to maintain that position forever, but maybe he can.
My last words of advice is very simple. People need to learn to exhale.
Yeah, please.
Listen, listen, there's nothing wrong with telling people.
Can't comment on the environment by executive order right now. You want to exhale?
Breathe.
Listen, what I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with telling folks, I'm talking about a professional athlete, there's nothing wrong with telling folks to mind your damn business, go kick rocks. I don't have to answer your question, so what? There's nothing wrong. And occasionally cussing people out from time to time. It's actually very, very healthy. I mean, you should try it. You should try it.
Off his chest.
You really should.
You don't keep it festering inside. That actually, what?
Kick rocks is a good comeback, I have to admit.
Never tell anyone outside the family what you're thinking. Isn't just the mantra of Don Corleone, it's also Bill Belichick's MO. But he did make a rare public statement about speed.
The thing that, I would notice the most is just the speed, the team speed that the Falcons have. They have a lot of fast guys. They look like they're faster than almost every team they play.
Yeah, they're pretty fast. The Patriots' defense is #1 in fewest points allowed, while the Falcons' offense is #1 in scoring. Max, something's got to give. Who has the edge?
Well, first, let me say that Sonny did make a big mistake when he said that in front of Sollozzo, because that led to the assassination attempt by, as it turned out, Barzini. It wasn't until that day that he realized it was Barzini all along. So
Classic.
Make a very good point.
Yes, learning lesson.
The answer is the Atlanta Falcons offense has put a greater distance between themselves and the rest of the pack than the Patriots defense has between the Patriots defense and the rest of the pack. But you got to look deeper into it, because then the equation becomes take the Atlanta offense minus the Patriots defense. What's that? And then compare it to the Patriots offense minus the Atlanta defense. What's that? That is greater than the first. In other words, the Patriots have a bigger advantage, their offense to Atlanta's defense, than Atlanta does their offense to the Patriots' defense. And Stephen A., I think that is a big reason why the Patriots are slight favorites in the Super Bowl.
You lost me on that one, but I'll try to get back to it. Here's the deal. Atlanta's offense is high-powered. But does youth, despite speed, gifts, athleticism, does those abilities usurp experience? See, this is the Super Bowl. This is the biggest stage in sports in this nation. And I see Taylor Gabriels of the world. I ain't worried about no Julio Jones now. I know he's going to be there. But I'm thinking about a Mohamed Sanu. I'm thinking about a Gabriel. I know, that Freeman and Coleman are no joke, and they're expected to be lethal. I get all of that. Matt Ryan, we know what he can do, but up until these two playoff games against Seattle and ultimately against Green Bay, he was 1-4 in postseason competition. I keep bringing that up because now you're on the biggest stage and you're going up against a team in the New England Patriots that are tried and tested. And by the way, everybody's walking around like the New England Patriots defense stunk up the joint. They were number 1 in points allowed. They were number 8 in yards allowed. They were top 3 against the run.
Yeah, they had a great defense.
And they are a damn good defense. Then we've got a Malcolm Butler. We know he's been to the Super Bowl before. We've got a Logan Ryan who's really elevating his stock as a big-time corner in this game. We've got guys like a Ninkovich, a Hightower, and others. They've been around the block before, and they know what it takes. And so for me, when I think about that, Max, and I couple it with what I expect to get from Brady with Edelman and Martellus Bennett and Chris Hogan and the crew, you're talking ball control. Herm Edwards came on the show, my radio show with me yesterday, Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio now, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time, every weekday afternoon. Here's the deal. Herm Edwards comes on and he talks about how Tom Brady threw so many passes, 5 yards, 6 yards or less. This is a guy, they're about ball control, getting rid of the football, et cetera, moving those chains. I'm wondering if that's not going to disrupt Atlanta's offense. So as high-powered as they are from a talent perspective, I actually would give the edge to New England right now.
Well, also, if you switched rosters, kept the coaches, or switched coaches, kept the rosters, all of a sudden you'd like the Falcons over the Patriots. It's really Bill Belichick, especially when you give him 2 weeks to prepare. Your offense is going to look better than it actually is. So will your defense. It will negate what the other team is doing. You think about the Patriots, what their offense did. We're talking about their defense, and it's been excellent comparing it to Atlanta's offense. But and by the way, the Patriots didn't give up much in consecutive playoff games to the Texans or the Steelers. But think about what their offense did. Brady doesn't look so good. Look at this Texans defense. He hung over 30 points on them and then did it again to the Steelers, and their defense had been improving until they ran into Belichick. So a lot of that, even the way the offense or the defense performs, is Belichick. And partly that's because you talk about ball control, Stephen A., with the Patriots offense. But, in fact, the Patriots are never the same team week to week. It's as though they can completely reinvent themselves depending on who they're playing. So if they need to slow down the pace against the Falcons, that's exactly what Belichick is going to do. And that's the reason, above all, why the Patriots are favored in the game.
Well, you could say that, too, and I appreciate you agreeing with me. Thank you very much. But here's the deal. Quinn cannot be underestimated because as defensive coordinator in Seattle and now in Atlanta, he's beaten Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl. He should have beat Tom Brady if it were not for the worst call in Super Bowl history, not giving Marshawn Lynch the ball at the half-yard line and elected to throw it instead. Then he's beaten Russell Wilson, turned around and beat Russell Wilson now. And then he beat Aaron Rodgers. Quinn is no joke. He knows what he's doing. But the other side to all of that is this. You've got McCourty, all right, and Patrick Chung as those safeties. These guys have been around too. And so I'm just looking at it from that perspective, and I'm just saying I expect the game to be tight. If the game is going to be tight, palms get sweaty at that moment. Who you betting on?
If it's a blowout,
and that's what we got to think about.
If it's a blowout, and it sounds ridiculous. And
right.
By the way, that's another reason you like the Patriots here is because it's hard to imagine the Falcons blowing them out. If it is a blowout, it does feel like it'd be the Falcons up. And since that's hard to imagine, you imagine it's tight.
That's what Ryan Clark said here the other day. If it's a blowout, the only way it's going to be is if the Falcons are up, which seems hard to believe, but at the same time, that offense.
Wouldn't that be something?
We shall see, gentlemen.